What's good, everybody? It's Mike Reed, and welcome to My Life Ministries, where leadership, influence, faith, and evolvement are the principles that we look to live by every single day of our life. And by us living those principles, it helps us to help youth to become motivated young leaders to implement faith every day in their lives as well. You can't know everything, and you got to make sure that you understand that. You can't know everything. Although we want to try, although we want to, make sure that we can figure it out, it's physically impossible to know everything. But the one thing that you can know is that God will always show up and that God will always work it out. God will always be God. He will always move and direct things according to his plan, according to his timing, and according to his will. So in the midst of us, in the midst of you, trying to figure it out or trying to know everything because of the reality that you look at, we are people who we see things, we see the reality and we see what's in front of us, and we allow what we see, to consume us or to affect us in a way to where we allow that reality to become, our answer to where we feel that everything is going to work out or going to go or going to move according to the reality that we see. And that's not true. We have to make sure that although we don't know everything, we know our Father. We know who God is to us. We know what God has done for us before. We know how he has showed up for us before. We know that he is a loving God. He is a loving King. We know that he knows the plans that he has for us. So we have to put our trust in that. The world, it has a lot of different things that are going on. We have a lot of different things that we are facing, a lot of different situations, a lot of different things that, that are actually, getting you to the point to where, you're clueless, when you're confused, but you have to trust in God. You have to trust in him and you have to believe in him. You have to make sure that because God knows everything, we have to leave that there. And we can't play God, and we can't keep trying to go to the drawing board and try to, put this together and put that together and try to figure it out, because you're going to just drain yourself. You're going to drain every ounce of energy that you have. You're going to open up a door to where the enemy is going to have a field day with your thoughts. He's going to have a field day with your emotions, and then that's going to lead to where he's going to have a field day with your actions, because your flesh is going to take over and you're going to react the way that the world wants you to react. You're going to react the way that your situation wants you to react. You're going to react the way that your reality wants you to react. So you have to make sure that you keep your eyes on God. You have to make sure that you fix your eyes on God. You got to make sure that you keep your focus directed towards him, and you have to see him, because although we may not know everything, God knows everything. He knows everything that's in place. He knows everything that's happening. He knows everything that's going on with you. So you have to hold on to him. You have to hold on to him in this moment. And it's difficult. I get it. Is it tough? Yes, I get it, but we have to make sure that we knock off the dust of that we've allowed doubt to try to rise in. You got to knock off, the dust of, of your patience, to where you become an impatient person, and you looking at the world to where it's just like, this is just too much. You're looking at your situations like, this is just too much. God, I just don't know what to do. Just hold on to him. We have to make sure that we seek him. We have to make sure that we keep our eyes focused on who he is, because God does have a plan. And trusting in his plan, that means that you really have to attach yourself to his timing. Okay? You have to really attach yourself to his timing. That's very important that you understand that, because you cannot control the will of God. You cannot control the timing of God. You can't even control the plan of God. But what you can do is you can control how you trust him. And if you trust him with all of your heart and you lean not on your own understanding, and in all of your ways you acknowledge him so that he can direct your path, that's the position that you need to be in. And that's the position that you must stay in. God will put you through valleys. God will put you through situations to where he wants to pull your trust out of him. Think about everything that's going on right now. Think about everything that's going on in your life. Wouldn't you say that it's a position and that you're in a that you're in a position to where God is like, how much do you trust me? How much do you believe in me? How much do you believe that I'm going to show up? Don't you think that the position that you're in your life right now, that this is a moment for you to full on trust God? I believe that that's what God is doing. God is trying to pull people closer to him. And you may not understand the reasoning behind it. You may not understand the reasonings behind it, but God does. And it's only to better you, because if he's trying to better you and he's trying to put you in a position to where you trust him even more, don't you think that the reward that he has for you at the end of this test, at the end of this journey, at the end of this temporary reality that we are living in right now, the problems that you're dealing with right now, they're so temporary right now. They're just temporary issues. That's all. God's not going to allow you to go through all of these different things and hold you there and hold you hostage there. He's trying to get something out of you. And what he wants out of you is he wants you to depend on him. He wants you to rely on him. He wants you to look at the situation and say, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what the world says. I don't care what people say. All I know is that I'm going to trust in my Father. I'm going to trust in what he says. I'm going to trust in what he's commanding me to do. Why? Because he is Jehovah Jireh, my provider. That's the mindset that you got to have. You got to always be in tune with God at all times. And you cannot face things and you cannot look at things that are temporary. Your issues, your situations, your problems, your adversities, although they seem big, they're just temporary issues, because God already has the plan to fix everything and to put everything into place. But the question is, do you believe that God's going to show up for you in your life? Do you believe that God's going to show up for you in your situation? Do you believe that God loves you enough to never leave you nor forsake you? Do you believe that? That's a choice that you got to make. That's a choice that you have to make. And nobody can force you or make you to make that choice or to lean into that decision, to trust in God. That's something that you have to know on the inside of you. That's something that you have to know with all of your heart. It doesn't matter what the world is doing. It doesn't matter what situations are going on in your life. It doesn't matter, what your finances look like. Doesn't matter what your bills look like. Doesn't matter, what's going on in your health. It does not matter what's going on in the government. It does not matter what's going on anywhere. Where does your trust lie? Does it lie in God, or does it lie in the realities that you see in front of you? Who are you going to trust in? Are you going to trust in the Waymaker? Are you going to trust in the one that's always been there? Are you going to trust in the miracle worker? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question. You have to make sure that you be in tune with that at all times and just trust in God. You guys have a blessed